Hey, good morning, sports fans. Louis Diamond, live from our Las Vegas handicapping studios, and you are watching Better Center Live. This morning, I am joined with Tony Gullidge once again to go through the Saturday morning college football games. We got a lot of games in store for you, a lot of great information coming your way. We have a new angle of the day. Yesterday's angle of the day hits real strong for us yesterday. It's on a nice little run. And Tony G is on a nice little run. 5 straight bookie busters. He's got another one here for you today. Chip, not with us today, but he's got his Big Ten game of the year. We'll talk about that a little bit. But before we get into the games, a little sad note in the world of sports gambling. For those that have been around a while, they know who this gentleman was. And for those that are new to sports gambling, you'll learn about a gentleman named Lem Banker. Lem is a long-time Las Vegas gambler who passed away recently at the age of 93. So the man lived a wonderful life, and you may want to look into the life of Lem Banker, as he was one of the pioneers of sports gambling. And as you see here, Eugene, our production our production man, sat with Lem a little while ago, a couple of years ago, on a production that we did for Eugene. And I never really had the pleasure to meet the gentleman, but I've been in sports gambling for 35 years, 36 years here in Las Vegas, and I've met almost all of them that meant anything. And you hear a lot about a lot of people, and in this business, usually it's not very good. So, but one thing about Mr. Banker, I can honestly say, never heard a bad thing about this gentleman. So I say kudos to you for living a wonderful life, an exciting life, and at the end, not hearing a bad thing about you. Kudos to you, gentlemen, Mr. Banker, and Tony. What are your thoughts about the passing of Mr. Banker?
Well, Mr. Banker was a gambling legend, like a pioneer in the information, exchanging of information. He would have people read the newspapers in different cities to beat books by beating them to the punch. In the mid 80s, when I was still in high school, I read his syndicated column in the newspaper, and it showed me a different way to approach sports, handicapping and gambling. So the guy was a legend. And like I say, I don't recall anybody having anything bad to ever say about the guy. So tip of the cap to a gambling legend, Lem Banker.
Great words. Our prayers and sympathies go out to Mr. Banker's family. So let's try to create our own little pioneering, so to speak, Tony. We did so again last night. We had a nice angle there with Louisville. And if you didn't catch the show last night, go to bettercenter.com. Go look at our angle of the day. We're starting to put there every day. 4-1 right now on the angle of the day. And last night was Louisville. Thursday night, we hit with, forgot who played Thursday night, but we hit on Thursday night. It's on the website, bettercenter.com. We got another angle of the day that I want to talk about. We'll talk about in a little bit. There's an alignment here, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Our alignments have not missed, guys. You don't want to miss out on what we have here for you installed today. So with that being said, let's just get to the games, Tony. And the first game we're going to talk about is the Hawkeyes of Iowa. They got a ground game, and they're pounding, and they are at Penn State. And once again, Iowa is a road favorite, was a road favorite. And I know how much you like Iowa as a road favorite, but now they're actually a dog, of a 1-point dog. What are your thoughts? Iowa, Penn State.
I get why people are taking Penn State. Who thinks they're going to go 0-5? Big spot for them at home. But after what I watched last week, I expected last week to be the week where Penn State showed that they weren't going to go out with a whimper, and they completely failed. Now I basically lost faith in their ability to compete. Iowa, on the other hand, after those two tough losses, these last two games, they're in gear. Defense is playing strong. It is a run-heavy game, but it's enough of a balance to keep the opposing defenses off balance. And I see Iowa just walking in here and doing what they need to do to get a win against Penn State. I don't have any faith that Penn State can really get the job done at this point.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you there. I mean, you have some numbers that will give you reasons to maybe back Penn State, but the team trends, such as Iowa 4-3 on grass, they aren't in that road favorite position, so they're actually a small little underdog. So you can't count that, and they're 1-7 as a road underdog. Tough to really count that. It's like you have to throw all these trends out the window, and you just got to say Penn State sucks. That's all you really got to say.
Kind of motion, Lou, when you get this kind of motion that moves the line across, the pick'em number, I think the bookies were more right. It's like the morning line at the racetrack. If you're trying to determine the current odds, if it's a good bet or not, I always give credence to that guy in the booth, the handicapper at the track that makes those morning lines as the default setting. And I do the same here for Vegas. They put that 3 out. They didn't put it out by mistake. They put it out because they thought that would be the number to get equal action on both sides. And I think their number was far better than the number it is now. I think you're getting a good deal on Iowa. And Penn State isn't worth the risk, in my opinion.
I would have to agree with you. They haven't done anything to make you want to put any money on them whatsoever. So Iowa seems to be the logical play here. You can get as high as +2 in some places, but depending on your book. But between 1 and 2, Tony and I are Iowa. Hopefully we're not a couple of idiots outside walking around. Catch that acronym there. Anyways, yes, I bust my buddies from Iowa. They're chops with that. So anyways, all right, let's move over to the next game on the schedule. After a little Iowa love, we're going to look for the Indiana-Ohio State matchup here. Ohio State 20.5. Seems like a big number against an Indiana team that's actually having a pretty decent year right now. The total 66.5. So Tony, fire away.
Yeah, I think this sets up beautifully here, Lou. You got Indiana 4-0. You look down the list: Penn State, Rutgers, Michigan State last week. We were all over Indiana in the as 7.5-point road favorites against Michigan State in the 24-0 win. But I'll tell you what, I thought the second half Indiana tailed off. I think it was scoreless second half. Really weren't fluid. Michigan State was really giving them problems on the offensive line. I think this is going to set up for Ohio State, just showing why they're the elite level of the Big Ten, and why a team like Indiana, while they're doing great against the teams they should be beating, when they go to step up against a champ here, I think they're going to get kicked in the teeth. The number's high. I think that clues you in that a 4-0 team is a 21-point underdog. There's a reason why they're that big an underdog. I think Ohio State, with their limited opportunities, they know they have to be cosmetically perfect to be considered for the spot in the playoff. Expect Ohio State to whip a little Hoosier behind today, Lou.
All right. I am going to have to disagree with you here, Tony. Now, it's not that I like Indiana. I don't want to bet against them right now. They're playing well, and they've actually fared well in Ohio State, covering, I believe, 6 out of the last 7, or 5 straight in Ohio State, 7 out of the last 9. Indiana has covered, but they've also done well in Ohio State. So I don't want to buck that team trend, because now you're coming with a better Indiana team for the first time in a while. Now, maybe they aren't as potent because their competition, they've been beaten, inferior competition. But I think they're going to be ready for this one. I like the points here in this matchup, and you like Ohio State. So we'll see what happens. It's laid out there. So the game will have to decide who wins this one today. Mm-hmm. All right, next game on the schedule is the team that you and I love to love, and who doesn't love Liberty? Liberty. Who doesn't love that? A lot of leftists right now, but other than that, Liberty today is now at NC State, and NC State's getting the love. Game opens up 3.5, up to 5. NC State is the favorite, and the total is at 65. So, are you? Well, now it's back down to 4. Went to 5 last night. Back down to 4 or 4.5. What are you thinking today? Are we on that Liberty train? You know I am. What do you got?
Been doing very well with Liberty. Love them. They had the straight up win against Virginia Tech. So they're basically making their tour of the ACC. Previous to this year, they had never beaten an ACC team in a football game. They got Syracuse first. That was a pretty solid beating. And then the aforementioned Virginia Tech crazy finish where they, I don't even go into the way that game finished, but Liberty managed to come out on top with the win. Now we're asking them again. I like that spot, in-state rival. There were a lot of things that made Liberty look good in that particular matchup. Now they're traveling to Raleigh, NC State. I'm going to have an issue with Liberty, particularly on the defensive side of the ball against a more, an ACC team, basically, an upgrade in the competition. And so I think this is a great spot for NC State to end this Liberty run. I know it's not going to probably be the popular choice, especially we know how well Liberty does against the spread. I think their acuity, and now that the public knows them better, I think it's really hurting them on the line. This is a game maybe 2 years ago they would be getting 14 points. Now 4.5 NC State. Probably a higher scoring game, something a little more action, perhaps towards shootout range. But I think NC State is going to get the best of Liberty in an exciting game to watch.
All right. Going to cheat on our Liberty Flames. I'm not liking that, Tony. I got to either ride the Flames or not play the game. But I like your overplay here. They're both in position. Both teams have a history of playing to the over. So I like asking two teams that play to the over to continue to play to the over. I like Liberty getting the points just because they're Liberty, number one. But number two, I got to like them on the teaser here today as well. And, you don't have very good numbers for NC State in this scenario. 3-11 against the number following a straight up win. So, which is, it's a team trend that I do believe in because you got to be able to put back-to-back games together. So, and Liberty has been doing that. So we'll disagree on this one here today, but I think we'll both agree with the over on this game with Liberty and NC State over the 65. Next game on the board will feature Illinois, and they are at Nebraska. Nebraska, big favorite. I don't know how you're going to lay a lot of points with Nebraska right now. And the total is 59. Give it to us, Tony. I know you're on this one.
Yeah, last week, Nebraska scored 30 in a 30-23 win against Penn State. In retrospect, it's good that they got off the snide and got the win, but it really wasn't. You watched what happened during the game. Penn State basically fumbled the game right to them. It was an awful Penn State performance. So it wasn't what Nebraska did. It's the way how poorly Penn State played. And looking at their point totals, Nebraska's not going to give you the high-octane offense. And I can't lay the points. And, in fact, I'm going to take the points with Illinois. I think this is just an overcompensation for for not a great Illinois, piss-poor Illinois team. But at the same time, you're asking a team that's not that good themselves to cover this kind of spread. I don't think it's a similar situation to last night where Syracuse against Louisville. I don't think Nebraska is Louisville, and I don't think Illinois is Syracuse. I'm going to take the points in this game and play the underdog. I like Illinois to get the cover.
We shall agree here as well. Way too many points for this Nebraska club to be laying. And, two quarterbacks, neither one seems to be able to do much of anything. So I don't. So definitely have some love on this under here today. So both teams, Nebraska 20-8 to the under the last 28 games as a favorite. So I like that scenario for them, and 7-2 to the under for the Illini following an ATS cover. So got a lot of love for the under, but I agree with you as well. Illinois should cash the ticket for you here today. Next game on the schedule, LSU at Arkansas. LSU 1-point favorite. They're at Arkansas. The total is 63. Tony, give it to us.
Okay, I'm just going to buck a couple of my own handicapping trends in this game. You got Arkansas just gave up 63 points to Florida. Typically, I would view that as a handicapping plus coming back home where they played well. I was looking at the Arkansas. They had the 24-13 win against Tennessee at home. They also beat Mississippi 33-21 at home. So your first glance would be to go, yes, I like Arkansas coming back home off a big loss. But then you got LSU, probably off the worst loss I've ever seen them have since, going back probably to the
Really?
80s and 90s, perhaps, when they used to get clobbered all the time. Here in most recent times, no, you don't see them lose 48-11 against anyone. So not the typical year. I just think LSU can actually score some points. While their defense was awful against Auburn, it was more a product of their offense putting them in bad spots. This is a game where I'm going to go against what logic makes sense here. So it's a lack of logic play, if you will. I'm going to play LSU to get the job done at Arkansas.
All right. And that will be bucking the head-to-head trend. I have no opinion on this game whatsoever. LSU is 1-5 at Arkansas and 3-10 the last 13 meetings. So they'll have to overcome that. But like you said, after a thumping like that, they got to show they got to bring their Super Bowl here today. So, but I don't want to bet on a team that's just been as bad as LSU's kind of really been this year. So I don't like to. I like to bet against teams like that. I like to follow the hot teams, but and try not to jump on the teams that are going bad and expect this to be their spot, unless you got something like that, which you do. Big loss, big loss. All right, so next game on our schedule is going to be. Guess what, guys? The next game on our schedule is our angle of the day. And this is where we will eventually someday put in the graphic that has angle of the day. And I'm buying a little time so I can find it and read it. How's that? So, but we got a nice angle on the day, and it comes with the Northwestern, Wisconsin. I'm going to read that angle after we get an opinion on the game from Tony. Wisconsin, Northwestern, what do you got?
You get a spot where you get a Northwestern team defensively that's been getting the job done. They're 4-0. I was pulling up my notes too at the same time, Lou. Yes, that the 27-20 win over Purdue. So what you're getting from Northwestern is a team that's going to grind it in the lower style game. I'm looking at their totals: 46, 41, 34, 47. So they haven't gone over 50 in any of their games. And Wisconsin is, while they put up points in their only 2 games, so they're more limited in the amount of time they've had to play. They are a team that is content to play that grinding possession type of game, and I expect that's what you're going to see here in Evanston today. Expect a paced game. That total is low, and I can see it. I mean, that's right on the verge. I would not recommend a play on that total, but I see why they got it where it is, because I expect a low possession game. Defense is going to call the shots in this one. And based on that, and I think Northwestern is competent enough to not turn the ball over and make bad mistakes, I'm going to take the 7.5 points with the undefeated home team. And I think hopefully that lines up with this trend you're about to give everybody, Luke.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes. Guys, our angle of the day currently 4-1. Our only miss was Tuesday night with Buffalo. But other than that, and that's just because me, Buffalo, we don't get along that well. So, but other than that, it's been solid winners. So, Eugene, Feed it to them. I will read it to them. All right, Wisconsin at Northwestern. The current line, Wisconsin 7.5. Northwestern coming off a 27-20 win over Purdue, which improved their season record to 4-0. Wisconsin coming off a 49-11 win over Michigan, which made them 2-0 on the season. Now, here's the angle. Any undefeated college football home underdog of 9.5 or less, which is Northwestern, that is playing after game 4 of their season versus an opponent with a win percentage of 857 or better, which is Wisconsin. That opponent is coming off a win, and that opponent is coming off a win in which they scored 38 points or more, resulted in those home underdogs going 17-3 against the number since 1993. Furthermore, that home underdog has won 16 out of the last 20 contests. So now you got Northwestern fitting in this angle at plus 250. Nice home dog on the money line. 16-4 straight up. Now listen, you may say, well, that's from 1993 you're counting back. What does that have to do with today? A lot, guys. This is a mental scenario. You are now in the locker room of human emotion. You're not sitting down saying, oh, this player, my fantasy player is doing this and this player is doing that. That's not what this is about. This is getting yourself in a scenario where you're putting human emotion in play. And human emotion over the last 20 games come out with some nice solid winners. So do you want to put the house on it? No, but you definitely want to take advantage of it and get yourself on Wisconsin plus the 7.5. Plus, you want to get some money line action on that. So, Tony, you lined up. We got a 2-man alignment. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I feel that trend. A lot of these long-term trends like that, I'm thinking this plays into like I say, the psychological niches of these handicapping, trends. That it seems quite detailed, when you go through each of the if then, if then, if then. But as long as it produces winners, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, Lou. I hope we got one with Northwestern tonight.
And right now, here's another angle. If you followed Bettor Center for the last 5 angles of the day, you would be at 80%. 4 winners and 1 loser. So hopefully you're getting a hint, guys. And if you are, show us a little love. Subscribe down below. So this way you get the information as it comes out, because it takes us a while to render this production and get it back up. And now, that's why it's really important for you to subscribe so you can get information like this when it's supposed to happen. All right, that being said, nice angle of the day, gentlemen. You can always get the angle of the day at bettorcenter.com. Speaking of bettorcenter.com, if you go out to the website right now, you will see Chip Chirimbus has his Big Ten game of the year going today. So
this information, this is some teams I'm more familiar with than others, right? This is my area of the country. I know more about the ins and outs. I hate to call it inside information, but it's little details that perhaps aren't widely publicly known about some of these situations. This is one of them, and I like my play here. I feel like I'm going to be on the right side when this game is over, and that's going to be my bookie buster play, Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina. The other package I have up there, Lou, is 3 picks. It's my key releases, 3 games on 1 package, and they're part of what the plays I've been giving out today. You might not want to guess which 3 they are, but that other package is my 3 key releases. But the bookie busters, best bets overall for my clients, Lou, have been 8, 1, and 1, like the last 10 or 11 days. So I'm really working a nice run together, putting together, like last night, the Air Force, just a pretty solid, no sweat, best bet winner, man. So hopefully this App State Coastal Carolina call is going to be another one where we're going to just take it to the window and smile as we cash another ticket.
All right, Tony, looking forward to that. And looking forward to you keep your streak rolling right there. So please take advantage of it, viewers. You'll have the opportunity to make yourself some money with some solid plays here today. So let's finish off with the most interesting play of the day. You've given us some winners already. You're holding back on some big ones. You got anything else? You got any nuggets you can give us here today? Close us out.
Yeah, let's just do the Oklahoma State. I had it last game of the schedule, the Battle of Bedlam. I'll just keep this quick, Lou. I think Oklahoma, after a slow start, they finally got the machine going. The high-powered offense is cranking. I like Oklahoma State's defense, but I don't think that defense is going to matter at this point in this game. I think Oklahoma's too strong offensively, and at the end of the game, they're going to have this game covered. Just and probably a high scoring shootout. I think I mentioned that in my write up. This is another game for a potential of a shootout, and I like Oklahoma to get the cover.
All right. Well, I am going to agree with your shootout here. I think the over is going to be my most interesting play today. Well, I don't think it is, but I think it's going to be a nice solid winner. The total is at 60, and I will roll with this one to the over. And let's see what happens here today. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, and hopefully, we're going to talk about more winners. You going 6-0 on your bookie buster, and the show going 5-1 on our angle of the day. We'll see what happens here today. Good luck with all your bets there. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Tony and I believe Chip will be with us, possibly Dell. Lots of winners to give out, lots of things to talk about. We'll see you here again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific time on Bettor Center Live.